Okay, class, this is for the project where we're going to create the animatic. We've already created each of our Illustrator artboards for the story. We've created our audio, and this is where we bring it all together. So the very first thing we need to do is to take these artboards that we've created and separate them out into separate artboards, and then we're going to modify them a little bit to take the components like the wolf and the pigs on mine off and put them into separate layers. So that will be the first step. The very first thing we'll do is open up our Illustrator file with all the artboards, and we will do File, Save As. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create an artboard folder. I'm just going to make an artboard folder too because I have multiple folders here and I've done this before. So I'm going to do New Folder, and I'm just going to call it for my animatic. I'm going to select that folder and I'm going to save, and when I save it, it will bring up this dialog box. And this dialog box, if I just save it, will save it just as the single file that I've been saving all along. But now I want to save it as each artboard as a separate file. So each of these artboards here will become a file by themselves, and it'll make it easier for me to create the slide presentation out of. So now I'm going to say OK. And now what it's going to do is it will take each of these and create an artboard for me into that animatic folder that I just created. And then I will be able to go into each of those and modify them and move the different parts of them so that I can animate them later on. So that will just help me on. That will just help me when we get to After Effects. So I'm going to let that finish. I have a fairly heavy Illustrator file here, so it is going to save all of those out there. When I go to my folder, so the animatic folder here, I have all of those artboards now in this folder. My first artboard is right here. So if I come into this artboard and double click it, this is the artboard, and I may want to make some modifications, and I may want to put each of these on their own layer. So if they're not already on their own layer, so it does look like I have the background on its own layer, and then I have the pigs and everything else on its layer. Now I want to separate this out to have the pigs. Actually, I don't need the black and white sketching, so I'm going to get rid of that. And now I'm going to actually separate the wolves, the pigs, and the text onto their own layer. So I'm going to create some new layers. And I'm going to make one text. I'm going to make one pigs and the other one wolf. From here, I'm going to lock down my background, and then I'm going to use my selection tool and just select my wolf and get all of him. Now, if I get anything else, like it looks like I got the text, I can use the Shift key and make sure that I just get the wolf. And what I would do is do Control X or Command X to cut it out of this scene. And then I'm going to go to the wolf layer, and I'm going to I think it's Control Shift V puts it in place where it was. And so now I have it on its own layer. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the pigs. So lock that layer down. I'm going to grab the pigs, and it looks like I grabbed the text again, so I'll just do Shift. I'm going to Control or Command X, and then Command or Control Shift. Make sure you're on the pig layer. Control Command V puts it in place, and it put it on its layer. I'm going to lock that layer down, and now I'm going to take the wolf and three little pigs text, and I'm going to Command or Control X to remove it and put that on the text layer, and Shift, actually I could have renamed the other layer too, so if you want to save yourself a little bit of time if you've cut everything else out, Control or Command Shift and V to paste it on that layer, and then we're just going to get rid of this layer. So now we have everything we need. I am going to shift this background a little bit just so that it covers all of the white space. Just if I'm seeing any white space, I don't want any white around it, but it looks like I've got it all set up. Now I'm going to do that to all 17 of my layers. I'm not going to have you watch this as I do that, but I just wanted to show you what we were going to do where we split things out onto their own layers. The one thing that I do want to do is I will open up one more of those real quickly. Open up that animatic. I'm going to open up the artboard too. Where I have any of this where I'm showing the panning and all of this, I'm going to remove all of these things that I did for the storyboarding because I have that on my original file. I don't really want it on the files that I'm going to be working with. So now that I'm working with this, it looks like I do have a lot of this stuff that I need to get rid of that. Let's turn the eyes on and off that. But like this little dotted rectangle for the close-up, I'm going to actually delete that. I'm going to delete the words close-up here. Actually, I'll lock that background down and see if I can do that. Get rid of that. And then the pan out, I'm going to get rid of that. And then I'm going to put the wolf and make sure he's on his own layer, and the window is on its own layer. So it looks like the wolf might be on his layer with the window. So I'm going to, yeah. So I'm actually going to put him on a separate layer and leave the window on this layer. So what I'm going to do is select all of him, and then the things I don't want, I'm going to shift select because I don't want these bars to be part of the wolf. And I'm going to Control or Command X to cut him, and then I'm going to actually put him on this layer, and I'm going to move that up and Shift Control V, put him in place. He is in gel still, so I have the gel bars on top of him, and right there he's on the red layer. As I select him, you can see that he's red. So he's on the separate layer, but just remove any of the textual information. Like I even have this dotted line on the outside of the background. I'm probably going to remove that because that's not part of what I want what to be seen. So I'm going to delete that. So that was just part of my storyboarding to actually say what I was going to do on this layer. So I will talk more about how we're going to take this into After Effects in the next video.